There was a tense standoff in Hamilton last night, but police were not after a criminal. It was one of their own.
Investigators aren't giving many details, only saying it was an off-duty Peel officer in crisis. The standoff was resolved peacefully, but it highlights a hidden problem for officers. Stephen D'Souza has been following this story and is here to tell us more. Stephen.
Well, police are being very tight-lipped, not telling us what led to the standoff. The only thing they would tell me is that the police officer involved is seeking and receiving medical treatment. Now, we don't know what exactly happened. We do know that a lot of officers say this is a very familiar story. After a pursuit and brief standoff, police took an off-duty officer into custody. Peel police wouldn't say what happened, just that the officer was in crisis. That's something therapist Pat Davies knows all too well. She runs a weekly support group for police officers and says it could be a myriad of problems.
Stress in the workplace could be PTSD, it could be depression, could be addiction, could be relationship issues.
Being on the front lines magnifies those issues, and she says it may not have been triggered by one incident.
It's when they see things over time, over and over and over, and as human beings, we only have the capacity to handle so much.
Bruce Kruger was an OPP officer for 30 years. In 1977, he shot and killed an escaped convict, the beginning of a career filled with horrors that still linger.
The trouble with officers is trying to get over the stigma of asking for help for mental illness.
In 2012, Kruger went to the Ontario Ombudsman saying not enough was being done. He says the OPP has improved since then, but even now, forces don't do enough to track who's suffering in their ranks.
I've heard everything from 16% to 24% of police officers or first responders suffer from PTSD.
The RCMP says close to 2,500 retired and current members suffer from PTSD, and Kruger knows it's a long battle. Even now, when in public, he has to sit with his back against a wall for fear of being attacked from behind. A fear so acute, he carries a card to show in case his panic overtakes him.
It's something that you're not cured. You just try to get through daily.
It is something he is working on day to day. He still sees a therapist now, and he says the amount of help varies from police force. And Pat Davies also says it's not just up to the officers themselves to seek help, but it's also up to their colleagues. And that's something that appears to have happened in the Peel case yesterday, where somebody called calling for help.
Thanks, Stephen.
You're welcome.